Welcome to SoulScripture. If you're hearing this right now, it's not by accident, it's by divine alignment. Because some truths don't come to you through noise. They come when your spirit is finally quiet enough to hear what it was born knowing. And tonight, chosen one, a buried knowing in your soul is about to rise to the surface. You've been marked. And not by popularity or praise, but by something ancient, something holy, something blazing and unrelenting. You carry fire. And if you don't learn how to protect it now, the world will extinguish what heaven placed in you. Let's start here. To be chosen is not to be celebrated, it is to be set apart. You weren't made for everyone's table. You were carved out of cosmic intention, meant to walk in dimensions others are too distracted to even notice. And no matter how hard you've tried to blend in, attending the gatherings, smiling through the discomfort, showing up in places that drain you, never really worked, did it? That quiet ache inside of you, it kept reminding you, this isn't where I belong. That wasn't you being distant. That was you being called. Because what you carry is rare. And rare things do not beg for attention, they command reverence. Your very presence holds a frequency that interrupts people's comfort. It stirs something in them they've buried. That's why some people admire you in public and resent you in secret. You remind them of what they gave up on. You mirror their untapped purpose. And the truth is, not everyone can stand in the heat of your light without burning. See, chosen one, you were marked by a flame too wild for containment. And when you step into rooms not designed for your fire, two things happen. Either you dim yourself to feet or you unintentionally set everything ablaze. That's not arrogance, that's resonance. You're not trying to overpower, you're just walking in alignment. And when you're aligned with heaven, everything out of alignment will react. You have to understand this. You are not aloof, you're not antisocial, and you're certainly not broken. You're strategic. And if you don't become intentional about where you place your energy, you'll waste divine oil on people who were never meant to carry it. Your time is not cheap, your presence is not casual, and your spirit is not up for constant consumption. To be chosen is to live with limits, not because you're less, but because your purpose is more. You've likely already felt it, the tension of needing to be alone without knowing why. The fatigue after too much small talk. The inner whisper telling you to withdraw, even when the world says, just stay a little longer. That's your soul sounding the alarm. It's telling you, retreat is not weakness, it's warfare. You're being pulled back so your spirit can be sharpened. You're not disappearing, you're being refined. Like Moses, who had to leave the palace to encounter the fire on the mountain. Like Elijah, who hid by the brook while heaven prepared rain. You too must go where the world cannot follow. This is not isolation for isolation's sake. This is separation for sanctification's sake. And the sooner you stop explaining your absence, the sooner your presence will gain power. You don't need to justify your rhythm to people who can't hear your beat. When heaven marked you, earth lost its claim over you. That means the standard for your life is higher. Not everyone gets access. Not everyone should. Now listen careful, because this is urgent. The time to walk in this awareness is not tomorrow, it's now. Your fire is flickering, not because it's weak, but because it's too exposed. And before the wrong crowd snuffs it out completely, you must step back into sacred distance. You must remember that the lion does not walk with the herd, it moves in silence, knowing its roar shifts atmospheres. And you, chosen one, are no different. The crowd will clap when you're convenient, but destiny will only rise when you're consecrated. You were not shaped in public, you were carved in secret, and now your spirit is demanding a return to that sanctuary. Because when your gift is ready to grow, it needs space. When your vision starts to expand, it requires stillness. And when your destiny begins to unfold, it will not do so in chaos. So the next time someone asks you why you're not around, why you're distant, why you seem different, just smile. Because what they don't know is that your absence is obedience. Your silence is strategy, and your distance is devotion. You're not running from the world, you're running toward the God who called you. Chosen one, you are marked by holy fire. Guard it, protect it. Let it burn only in spaces where it will be fed, not extinguished. And if that means walking alone for a season, walk with purpose. Heaven is watching, hell is worried, and the earth is waiting. There is a reason your soul feels safer in stillness than in the noise. A reason why, even when the room is full, your spirit scans for the exits. It's not because you're antisocial, it's because your assignment is sacred. Solitude is not your punishment, it is your preparation. And chosen one, it's in that preparation that you are being molded for what the crowd cannot comprehend. Let's dismantle a lie right now. Solitude is not a sign of lack, it is a signal of becoming. Just like a seed must first be buried in silence before it breaks open into life, you too are planted, not forgotten. And that soil you're buried in, it's intentional. It's quiet, yes. It's dark, yes. But it's fertile. It's forming you in ways visibility never could. Because true vision, the kind that alters generations, cannot grow in shallow soil. It needs depth. It needs silence. It needs separation. You are in your incubation season. And in this season, distraction is your enemy. That's why certain relationships have fallen away. That's why the invitations have slowed. That's why the people you once leaned on are nowhere to be found. It is not rejection, it is redirection. Because when you're carrying something divine, heaven will shield you from anything that threatens your development. Even if it looks like loneliness, it's really divine insulation. You're being wrapped in spiritual silence, so the noise can't interfere with the voice that guides your next step. Remember how prophets in the scriptures often disappeared before they delivered their message. How Jesus withdrew to mountains and deserts, away from even his disciples, to commune with the Father. That pattern hasn't changed. The wilderness was never a detour, it was the doorway. And your wilderness, chosen one, is holy ground. In this solitude, you are not abandoned, you are being entrusted. Trusted with revelations others aren't ready to receive. Trusted with assignments that require a sharp ear and a softened heart. Trusted with the weight of clarity in a world addicted to chaos. You are not being punished for needing space. You are being protected in it, because heaven does not birth movements in crowded places. It births them in caves, in deserts, in prisons, in upper rooms where few are invited but much is revealed. So why do you feel the ache of being alone? Because you are shedding. The crowd cannot hold you and your calling at the same time. You must choose. And when you choose your calling, you will lose your comfort. But you will gain something infinitely more valuable, divine alignment. And from that alignment comes clarity. You will begin to hear things others don't hear. You will begin to see strategies others overlook. You will begin to sense danger before it arrives. That is the gift of sacred solitude. It sharpens your senses for the mission ahead. But here's the urgency. If you resist this season of stillness, if you keep running back to the noise, if you keep letting guilt trick you into showing up for what no longer feeds your spirit, you will delay the very breakthrough you've been praying for. Chosen one, hear this with your whole soul. The breakthrough you seek is not out there. It's waiting for you in the silence. You don't need more voices in your ear. You need to tune into the one voice that has never failed you. The voice of the divine. The voice that whispered your purpose into being before the world named you. That voice is getting louder, but only if you quiet everything else. And quiet doesn't mean inactivity. It means intentionality. It means turning down the volume on distractions so you can turn up the clarity on your calling. You are being summoned back into the sacred, away from the group chats, the constant meetings, the performative presence, back into the cave, the chamber, the closet where destiny is whispered. You were never meant to bloom in public before your roots were deep enough to hold the weight of your harvest. Some of the loudest voices around you right now may actually be the very thing muting your own. And when a chosen one can't hear their own voice, they lose direction. When they lose direction, they wander. And wandering is dangerous when you carry the weight of legacy. Let me make it clear. Your solitude is sacred space, not empty space. And every minute you honor it, you build the capacity to carry what's next. The next revelation, the next assignment, the next door. This isn't just about avoiding burnout. This is about divine architecture. Heaven is building something in you that cannot afford to be interrupted. So guard it. Protect it like you would a newborn flame in a windstorm. And when people ask, "Why are you so quiet lately? Why did you stop coming around?" you can smile, not in arrogance, but in clarity. Because what they don't know is that the soil of your silence is birthing something that their noise would only delay. This is not your season to be accessible. This is your season to be anointed. Chosen one. Stay in the quiet until the fire is strong enough to rise without consuming you. Stay hidden until your clarity outshouts the confusion. Stay low, stay still, and let the sacred work finish its shaping. Because what's coming through you is not just for youth, it's for generations. And that kind of assignment cannot be rushed. It must be refined. And refinement requires room. There's a weight in your chest that no one else seems to understand. A pressure that follows you, even in quiet moments. It's not anxiety. It's not heaviness without purpose. It's vision. It's prophecy. It's the knowing that you've been entrusted with something bigger than your own life. And the deeper that knowing becomes, the more it separates you not just physically, but energetically from the world around you. Chosen one, let me speak plainly. To carry divine vision is to carry divine responsibility. You're not just living, you're leading, whether you asked for it or not. And leadership of this kind doesn't look like position or platform. It looks like obedience. It looks like burden. It looks like feeling 10 steps ahead in a world still walking in circles. That's why you can't explain what you feel to everyone, because you were given insight they weren't meant to hold. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to try and articulate your calling to people who are still living by convenience? That's not by accident. That's divine protection. The truth is, some visions cannot be spoken. They must be carried in silence until they mature into manifestation. And in the meantime, your role is not to convince others, it's to become the vessel that can hold what you were shown. But there's a cost to that, and let's not sugarcoat it. Vision isolates, purpose alienates, and calling often offends. Why? Because when you walk in clarity, you disrupt the illusions others still rely on. You break the unspoken contracts of conformity. You carry a light that exposes what others are working hard to hide even from themselves. And not everyone wants to be awakened. Some people are more committed to comfort than to truth. And when your truth threatens that comfort, they'll label you everything from arrogant to too much. But listen, your assignment is not up for popular vote. You don't need permission to carry what heaven gave you. Your obedience does not require explanation. The more you try to make your path palatable for others, the more you dilute the purity of your mission. And this generation doesn't need diluted light, it needs undeniable fire. You've been seeing things others miss, feeling shifts before they arrive, sensing changes in the atmosphere that people around you can't even articulate. That's not paranoia. That's prophetic alignment. Your spiritual sensitivity is part of your design, not a defect. And if you felt emotionally overwhelmed, physically drained, or mentally distant from others lately, it's because your spirit is being recalibrated to handle a heavier mantle. That heaviness is preparation, not punishment. But here's the urgent warning. If you don't treat your vision as sacred, it will slip through the cracks of your carelessness. Vision that is not protected becomes distorted. And distorted vision births confusion, not clarity. That's why discernment is not optional for you anymore. You can no longer allow casual access to your inner world. You can no longer keep pouring into people who never ask to be filled. You are not a faucet. You are a well. And wells must be guarded, especially when the drought begins. Let's go deeper. Why do you feel resistance even when you speak truth? Because truth always stirs opposition. not from evil people, but from unconscious ones. People whose lives are structured around silence will always be offended by a voice that dares to speak what others only whisper. And you, chosen one, were born to speak truth, not echo trends. That means your message won't always be embraced. It may be misinterpreted, mocked, or ignored altogether. But do not let that stop you. Do not let their confusion become your cage. You must keep walking, even when it's lonely. You must keep speaking, even when it's costly. You must keep standing, even when others sit in silence. Because the vision you carry isn't about you. It's about those who will come after you. It's about the structures that must be broken, the legacies that must be rebuilt, the spiritual famine that needs your reign. You are not just called, you are commissioned. And yes, it will be painful. There will be moments when you question everything, when the silence of obedience feels heavier than the noise of compromise. But here, me obedience is not the absence of pain. It's the presence of alignment. And when you are aligned with your assignment, everything you lose will be returned multiplied. Not always in the form you expect, but in the fulfillment your soul has been aching for. So don't chase applause. Don't explain your every move. Don't apologize for your fire. There is a reason prophets in ancient times were feared and misunderstood. They carried too much truth to be tamed. You too are one of them, a modern-day vessel carrying ancient frequencies. You don't walk through this world, you shift it. That's why you feel heavy. That's why solitude has become your sanctuary. That's why your inner world is more real than your outer one. Because vision, real vision, requires space to breathe. It requires time to unfold. And it requires a soul willing to steward what others ignore. So lift your head, chosen one. You were never meant to be understood, you were meant to be obeyed by heaven, by your soul, by the mission that burns in you like wildfire. You're not ahead of your time. You're exactly on time for what eternity is preparing to release through you. Chosen one, your frequency is rare and not every ear can hear it. Not every hand is clean enough to touch it, and not every heart is pure enough to protect it. That's why you felt pulled back from people who used to feel close. Why certain environments now feel like static when you walk in. It's not that you've become cold, it's that you've become clear. And with clarity comes discernment. And with discernment comes boundaries. You see, not all who surround you are sent to support you. Some were only sent to study you. And if you confuse their proximity for purpose, you'll mistake observation for alignment, and that mistake will cost you more than time. It'll cost you peace, focus, and momentum. This is why you must urgently become a guardian of your spiritual frequency. You cannot afford to let just anyone near your gift anymore, because energy is not neutral. Every person you interact with either deposits or withdraws. And when you are chosen, your account is watched by heaven. There are people who will show up smiling, but their presence leaks your power. People who call you friend, but cannot hold your depth. People who mean well, but drain you nonetheless. And if you don't discern early, you'll end up spiritually bankrupt, pouring endlessly and wondering why you feel so empty. That's not humility, that's mismanagement. And mismanaging your frequency is not just a personal loss, it's a spiritual risk. Think of your spirit like a sacred vault. What lives in you is valuable revelation, wisdom, healing, fire. And the enemy doesn't always show up with a pitchfork. Sometimes it shows up as a distraction, wearing a familiar face, a casual connection, a quick call, a harmless hangout. But what you call casual may be contaminating your clarity. What you call innocent may be interrupting your instruction. And here's the sobering truth. The more powerful your anointing, the more intentional your boundaries must become. Jesus himself didn't allow everyone into his inner circle. He had the multitudes, yes, but he also had the 12. And even within the 12, he had 3. And even among the 3, there were moments he chose to walk alone. If he modeled divine discernment, how much more should we? This is your moment to course correct, to examine your spiritual perimeter and ask, Who has access to me that shouldn't? What energy have I normalized that's actually lowering my vibration? Which relationships have become emotional vending machines where I pour endlessly but receive nothing in return? You don't need to hate people to create space. You don't need a dramatic exit to shift alignment. Sometimes it's a quiet unfollow, a skipped invite, a sacred pause in communication, not because you're angry, but because your mission demands your full bandwidth. You were not chosen to be available. You were chosen to be anointed. And there's a difference. Availability without discernment is how destiny gets delayed. You're not called to be everyone's emergency contact. You're called to be a steward of sacred energy. So when your spirit says, pull back, obey immediately, that's not fear, it's foresight. That's not ego, it's endurance. Now hear this with urgency. Every time you override that inner nudge to protect someone's feelings, you betray your own alignment. And betrayal of self is one of the most violent things a chosen one can do. Because when you betray your frequency, you short-circuit the very signal heaven is trying to use to guide you. Let's speak clearly. This is a pruning season. God is not subtracting people from your life to hurt you. He's pruning so you can bear more fruit. And while pruning feels like loss, it's actually preparation. Because what's coming next in your journey will require an even purer signal, an undistracted spirit, a guarded gate. There is no room for leaky vessels in the next dimension of your purpose. You've got to patch the holes. That means being vigilant with your peace, auditing your conversations, canceling assignments heaven never gave you. This is not selfishness, it's sacred stewardship. And those who are truly aligned with your spirit won't be offended by your boundaries. They'll respect them. They'll understand that to walk with a chosen one is to walk with reverence. Because, chosen one, your life is not common, your walk is not casual. You carry frequency that awakens, heals, and shifts atmospheres, and the enemy knows it. That's why distraction has increased. That's why emotional entanglements have tried to re-enter. That's why old friendships have come knocking. It's not coincidence, it's a coordinated attack to lower your vibration before your breakthrough arrives. But you're not the same, not anymore. You feel the difference now. You recognize the drain. You sense the shift. And the moment you start honoring what you feel over what others expect you, become dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Because the most powerful version of you isn't the one who's always present, it's the one who's always discerning. So draw your lines in the sand, not out of anger, but out of awareness. Not to exile others, but to exalt what's sacred. Because the fire in you deserves protection, the vision in you deserves clarity. The frequency in you deserves only those who amplify, not drain. And that protection is your responsibility. Guard your gates, set your standards, and let anyone offended by your boundaries remove themselves. Your peace is your compass now. Your energy is your currency, and your discernment is your shield. Pressure. You've felt it, haven't you? That invisible hand on your chest, the weight on your shoulders, the intensity in the air around you. It presses in waves, some days subtle, other days suffocating. But here's what you must understand, chosen one. The pressure isn't here to break you. It's here to birth you. Because diamonds are not formed in comfort. They are formed deep beneath the surface, under forces that would shatter anything not meant to shine. And you, dear soul, are in that same process. You are being crushed, not by chaos, but by calling, not by pain, but by purpose. And while it feels like everything is caving in, what's actually happening is far more sacred. Your divine core is being revealed. The enemy wants you to misinterpret this pressure as punishment, wants you to question why it feels like you're being buried alive. But listen closely. You are not buried. You are planted. And the darkness you're in right now is not the gravates the womb. This is not your ending. This is your emergence. And emergence only comes through intensity. Even nature knows this. Seeds crack before they sprout. Earth quakes before it opens. Fire refines before it reveals. so don't misread your season. The shaking is proof that something powerful is being pushed through you. Something ancient, something holy, something this world desperately needs. But here's the truth. You don't hear often enough. This kind of pressure is reserved for the rare. The ordinary will never feel what you're feeling. The common will never carry what you're carrying. That's why comparison is a trap for the chosen. You keep looking at their ease, their popularity, their visibility, and wondering if you missed the mark. You didn't. You're just being carved differently. You're being shaped not for applause, but for endurance. Not for the crowd, but for the crown. You're being trained for territory that can't be accessed by shortcuts or spiritual passivity. That's why God is allowing certain things to weigh on you. Because there are muscles in your soul that can only be built under divine resistance. Don't run from the strain it's making you strong. Don't resent the silence it's tuning your ear. Don't flee the fire it's purifying your gift. The process doesn't feel holy, but its results will be. What feels like rejection is actually refinement. What feels like delay is deepening your roots. And those roots matter, chosen one. Because the higher your calling, the deeper your foundation must be. And God won't elevate what's not equipped to stand. This isn't about speed, it's about strength. And strength that's built in secret never crumbles in public. But let's be clear, this isn't just about survival, it's about strategy. Heaven is being strategic with you right now. You're being hidden for your own protection. Not everyone is supposed to witness your transformation. Not every eye is pure enough to watch you ascend. So God is shielding you through closed doors, silent nights, and lonely mornings, not to harm you, but to help you hold the weight of what's coming. Because what's coming is heavy, it's legacy-sized, it's lineage-altering, it's generational, and if you step into it too soon, you'll collapse. So God allows the pressure to persist. And while the crowd sees your silence as stagnation, heaven sees it as strengthening. The crushing is not the curse, it's the covenant. And yet, in the middle of this divine intensity, you must resist the urge to perform, to prove, to panic. Your power will not come through. Proving it will come through presence. Through trusting that you don't need to fight for what you've already been marked for. You don't need to rush what has already been ordained. The pressure is not asking you to produce, it's asking you to prepare. So inhale, hold, exhale. The pressure you feel is heaven's announcement that the old version of you is outgrowing its shell. The cracking is necessary. The stretching is sacred. You are expanding beyond what you once believed possible. And it hurts, yes, but that pain has purpose. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, imprisoned for years, but none of it was wasted. Every ounce of pressure positioned him for the palace. And when his moment came, he didn't just survive the saved nations. That is the power of pressure refined in the hands of the divine. So don't despise what's pressing against you. Don't curse the cocoon. Don't panic in the darkness. This is holy work. This is divine tension. And your only job is to stay surrendered. Stay yielded. Stay faithful, because you are not being punished. You are being positioned for impact, for influence, for kingdom legacy. And when the time is right and it will come, you will emerge not just polished, but powerful. Not just seen, but sent. Not just resilient, but refined. And when you speak, the earth will respond. When you move, the atmosphere will shift. When you arrive, hell will take notice. So don't fear the pressure. Embrace it. Let it do its work. Because buried deep within it is the promise. You were made for this. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the fire you carry becomes too sacred to share casually. A shift where your presence, once freely given, now requires a cost, not because you're becoming prideful, but because you're finally recognizing the value of your essence. You are no longer here to appease everyone. You are here to protect the sacred blueprint encoded into your spirit since before you were born. And that protection demands one thing above all: boundaries. Chosen one, let me say this without apology, yes is expensive. Every time you say yes to something misaligned, you pay with your energy, your clarity, and your calling. Every time you keep someone close, who was only meant to be seasonal, you risk forfeiting part of your destiny. That may sound dramatic, but when your life is a vessel for divine strategy, every connection matters. Every agreement shapes your atmosphere, and every open door is either an entrance for blessing or a breach for sabotage. This is why you must now, urgently and without guilt, set boundaries that align with the divine architecture of your purpose. And I'm not talking about superficial, performative boundaries. I'm talking about spiritual architecture, the kind of structure that makes no room for distractions, leeches, or codependent dynamics disguised as loyalty. You don't need people around you who are just close enough to clap but not close enough to cover you in prayer. This is a season where intention matters more than intensity. Start with this question: who is feeding your frequency and who is feeding off it? Some people are not friends, they're assignments, just not yours. And if you don't realize that, you'll spend years investing in people heaven never told you to carry. Some will come with compliments in their mouth but confusion in their spirit. Some will call you too much when what they really mean is, I can't manipulate you anymore. Some will even use your compassion as an entry point for chaos. Listen carefully. Emotional access is not the same as spiritual alignment. Just because someone has known you for years doesn't mean they're assigned to your next. Just because they're familiar doesn't mean they're faithful. The enemy knows he can't steal your calling, but he'll try to sabotage it through connection. That's why the attacks have become more subtle lately. They're not always storms, they're slow leaks. And slow leaks sink ships silently. But now, chosen one, it's time to seal every breach. Say noven when it feels awkward. Say lesseven when you feel misunderstood. Walk away even when it's inconvenient. Not everyone deserves access to your becoming. Some people only want proximity to study your pattern, not support your mission. They want to replicate your fire without enduring your furnace. Let them go. You are not here to audition for connection. You are not here to babysit other people's egos. You are not here to drain yourself dry, trying to keep others comfortable. The truth is, your presence is a mirrorand. Not everyone likes what they see when you walk in the room. You carry confrontation without saying a word. You stir potential without trying. You shift atmospheres without needing a stage. That kind of presence must be protected. Think of Nehemiah. While rebuilding the wall, people came repeatedly, calling him down to the valley, begging him to stop the work for a meeting, for a conversation, for a clarification. And every time, Nehemiah replied with the same sentence, asterisk, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Asterisk, that is your word now. Every unnecessary argument, every draining phone call, every people-pleasing cycle respond with, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Because your wall, your assignment, your destiny is too important. And if you come down every time someone demands your attention, you'll never complete what heaven gave you. You must become unavailable to anything that distracts from the divine. That includes over-explaining. That includes emotional maintenance of people who refuse to grow. That includes carrying people who keep choosing comfort over transformation. Chosen one, you were not created to be everyone's emergency outlet. You are a pillar, not a plug. Stop letting others charge their chaos through your calm. Stop letting their indecision pull you off course. The time for diluted fire is over. You are not meant to be digestible, you are meant to be divine. Now here's the tension. You can love people and still leave them. You can have compassion and still create distance. You can honor someone's humanity without handing them your energy. These are not acts of coldness, they're acts of clarity. Because when your spirit becomes a well of revelation, protection becomes an act of obedience. So cleanse your space, reclaim your silence, let your phone ring, let the messages wait, let the misunderstandings sit unanswered. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. Your boundaries are not bridges to burn. They are filters that keep your calling intact. And when the right people arrive and They will. They'll meet you where your frequency already lives. They won't compete with your boundaries. They'll honor them. They won't drain your light. They'll match it, because anything truly sent by God will never ask you to dim. So stand firm. Be unapologetic. Be unwavering. You are not being too much. You are just finally being true. And what's true cannot afford to be compromised. Not now, not ever. There's a hush in the spirit that calls to you now, chosen one. A sacred silence that doesn't just quiet the noise around you but realigns everything within you. This is not the silence of emptiness. It's not absence. It's presence. And it's calling you inward, away from the demands of the world, into divine strategy, into the council chamber of heaven itself. Make no mistake, heaven still speaks, but it doesn't scream. It whispers. And if you're surrounded by too many voices, if you're entangled in too many demands, if your schedule is crammed with obligation instead of obedience, you will miss the instruction that can only be heard in the stillness. You will miss the exact next step meant to shift everything. This is why silence isn't just a preference for the chosen, it's a covenant, and like all covenants, it comes with responsibility. You must carve out space not just physically, but spiritually. Because the whisper is not for the crowd, it's not for public consumption, it's for the consecrated, the ones willing to turn down the volume of the world so they can hear the rhythm of the divine. That rhythm is your lifeline, your compass. And right now, it's trying to reroute you before distraction derails your destiny. Consider the prophets. Elijah didn't hear God in the earthquake, nor in the fire, nor in the wind. He heard God in the still, small voice. And if he hadn't stood still long enough to notice that, he would have missed the very instruction that saved his life and launched his next assignment. You are in that same moment now. The noise is increasing, not because God is far, but because he is near, and the enemy knows it. And the closer you get to breakthrough, the louder the distractions become. You must choose your environment, like your life depends on it, because spiritually, it does. Chosen one, you are being summoned into the secret place. That place where clarity isn't asked for, it's given. That place where strategy for the next decade is dropped in a single moment of holy awareness. But you can't bring everyone into that place with you. You can't drag your notifications, your insecurities, or your people-pleasing with you. The door is narrow on purpose, because what's on the other side is weighty. It's legacy work, it's blueprint-level revelation, and only the deeply rooted can carry it without dropping it. So if you've been feeling a strange pull to withdraw, to disconnect from conversations, to leave certain spaces, to rise earlier, or rest more often, that's not laziness or antisocial behavior. That's the call of the chamber. That's the spirit whispering, asterisk. Come away, I have something to show you. Asterisk. But he can't show it to you while you're distracted by noise, flattery, or fear. The download requires your full attention, not multitasking faith, not halfway presence, full attention, asterisk. And here's what's urgent. Some of the answers you've been praying for are waiting in this silence. Some of the peace you're desperate for is being offered in this stillness. Some of the next-level strategies, the divine connections, the supernatural doors are waiting for you to shut everything else off and listen, and not just with your ears, but with your soul. This is your turning point, not a loud announcement, not a flashy breakthrough, but a quiet invitation. And how you respond determines everything. If you ignore it, you'll survive, but you won't transform. If you honor it, you'll walk into rooms your name never applied for, because your alignment opened doors no resume ever could. Think of Moses again, 40 days on the mountain, hidden from view, while the people waited below. They lost patience, they made idols, but he returned with tablets of revelation. This is your mountain moment. Let them murmur, let them wonder where you went, let them misunderstand your silence, because you are receiving something that will outlast their opinions. Chosen one, Your voice is being tuned to a divine frequency, and before it can echo to nations, it must first be anchored in private. This is why even Jesus would withdraw from crowds after miracles. He wasn't hiding, he was hearing. He was anchoring his humanity to the voice that sent him. And you, marked by that same lineage of spiritual carriers, must do the same. You don't need to respond to every message. You don't need to accept every invitation. You don't need to prove that you're still available. You are not available. You are assigned. Asterisk. And when you treat your calling like an assignment, not a performance, you'll stop explaining your boundaries and start living them. Let the silence strip away the false narratives. Let it untangle the old agreements. Let it wash off the expectations others placed on you that God never approved. The world doesn't need another echoit, needs a voice forged in reverent stillness. And that voice, chosen one, is rising in you now. So, turn down the noise, turn inward, turn upward, and watch how heaven meets you not with fanfare but with fire, not with hype but with holy knowing. In the hush of solitude, your blueprint is waiting, and once it drops, nothing will ever be the same again. You've made it this far not by accident but by obedience. Every moment of silence you honored, every boundary you held, every call you didn't return, every room you exited early, it wasn't rejection. It was refinement. And now, chosen one, something is shifting, quietly, powerfully, permanently. You are on the edge of emergence, say not, as the version of you the world once knew, but as the one you were, always meant to become. You will not return the same way you entered this season, because what's being formed in you is holy infrastructure, the scaffolding of legacy. And that structure isn't built in crowded rooms, it's built in consecrated corners, in hidden hours, in sacred stillness. You've carried your fire through storms, through silence, through sabotage, and it still burns. That is no small thing. That is evidence of favor. So what happens now? You rise, not in noise, but in clarity, not in performance, but in presence. You don't need to announce it. You embody it. You walk into places with authority not because of what's seen, but because of what's survived. You carry weight that cannot be explained, only felt. And the ones meant for your frequency, they'll recognize it immediately. Chosen one, the days of apologizing for your discernment are over. The era of shrinking to fit others' expectations is done. You're no longer explaining why you keep your distance. You're demonstrating why it was necessary, because what lives in you now is not just a colonnet's confirmation, and confirmed purpose needs no permission to move forward. You are the oak, not the grass, the flame, not the flicker, the lion, not the echo, and those who once questioned your silence will soon witness your roar. Let this next part be written in your bones. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not misunderstood by heaven. You are aligned. The years that looked like delay were actually deep roots growing in secret. The isolation that once felt like exile was God's hand hiding you in plain sight. And the ache of loneliness you thought would break you, it was sacred space clearing the clutter for your elevation. Now, let's confirm what's already alive inside you. You are not crazy for needing distance. You are consecrated. Asterisk, asterisk. You are not wrong for choosing silence. You are wise. Asterisk, asterisk. You are not arrogant for guarding your energy. You are a steward of sacred fire. Asterisk, asterisk. You are not cold for saying no. You are clear. Asterisk, asterisk. And clarity is your anointing in this season. Let the world chase relevance. You're here to carry reverence. Let others obsess with applause. You'll walk in authority. Let them misunderstand you. Let them speculate. You are not here to be digested. You are here to deliver. Not everyone will get you, and they're not supposed to. Your life is a code deciphered only by those assigned to run with you. And those few, they won't drain you. They'll amplify you. So this is your charge now. Walk boldly, speak softly, guard fiercely, love deeply, and rest unapologetically. Because when the next door opens sand, it will. It won't be for the version of you that bent and broke, trying to belong. It will be for the one who endured solitude and emerged whole. Heaven has not overlooked you. In fact, all of creation has been holding its breath, waiting for the moment you step into your full authority. And now is that moment. Your silence was sacred. Your boundaries were blessed, and your solitude was the soil of strength. The time you thought you lost, it was invested. The people you thought you needed were only placeholders. What's ahead now carries your name, and nothing can stop what heaven has assigned. You are the remnant, the intercessor, the carrier of legacy. You are the bridge between what was and what will be. And when you speak again, really speak, your voice will not echo. It will reverberate through timelines, touching what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. You are that rare. They thought you disappeared, but you were being designed. They thought you were silent, but you were being sharpened. Now watch what happens when the chosen risen not to be seen, but to shift everything. The time is no longer coming. Asterisk, asterisk. It's here. Asterisk, asterisk.